Jai Jai Nityananda, Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda,
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda,
Jai Dvaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Jai Dvaita Chandra,
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda,
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda,
Jai Dvaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta. Okay. So, speaking from this song called Boro Sukhe Kabo Gai, which is also Dalera Gita, which is the song of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namasute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Vrindavani Radhe Vrindavani Suri Vishwani Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Vedancha Kalpatarvishcha Kripa Sindhu Vihavicha Patitanam Pavane Bhyo Vishna Bhyo Namo 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 Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Badali Shimate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Nitanavane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Badali Shimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitanavane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyate Desatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jnana Nandamandi Manalashkataka Kriti Madhyaram Satavidyana Hare Krishna Upasmahe. So today is the appearance day of Lord Nityananda. And so Nityananda means eternally blissful. Ananda, the Nityananda. And so Nityananda Prabhu, he appeared in the land of Ekachakradham. In the calendar year of 1473, after AD. And so we'll see that his father was Hadai Pandit and Padmavati. That was his mother. His mother was Padmavati. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is feeling the ecstasy and he is singing, he says, I am singing this news. I'm singing this news that Lord Nityananda himself has opened the marketplace of the holy name in Surabhi Kunj. That this Nityananda, the brother of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has come and he's opened this marketplace of the holy name in Surabhi Kunj. And so this Surabhi Kunj is in Godrum. That Nityananda Prabhu, he is the Mahajan, he is the person who resides in this Godrum and he is giving this holy name freely. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is playing a very special role as the sweeper of the marketplace. And so the position of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we'll see if we analyze the tradition of Gaudiya Vaishnava, the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, is that Guru Maharaj mentions in a lecture that he brought back the pure holy name. He reestablished the pure holy name again. That he was able to do such things because there was so much nonsense going on in the name of Gaudiya tradition. And so, and actually it's written that in his later days that he preached very much, his preaching very much closely resembled that of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. He was preaching specifically Namhata. He established actually 500 Namhatas throughout his life. And so we can learn from him and understand from him the mood and how he understands Sri Nityananda Prabhu. And as we understand that Nityananda Prabhu is Adi Guru. He is the Guru of the whole universe. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur, being the Acharya, he's the representation of Nityananda Prabhu. So he actually understands the heart of Nityananda Prabhu. And so he plays that role of Nityananda Prabhu. And what is the purpose of Nityananda Prabhu? What does he want? What does he want to give? He wants to give love of God. When Srila Prabhupada was asked, what is the purpose of our movement? What did he say?
To be happy.
To be happy. So, sarva sukha bhavanto. So, the whole world, let the whole world be happy. And that is Nityananda. That is his purpose. Let the whole world be happy. Let's drown him in the ocean of Krishna Prema. That is Nityananda. So that is Srila Prabhupada also. What's the purpose? Let the whole world be happy. Let them be Nityananda. Let's give them Nityananda. Let's give them the eternal bliss that they are looking for. So Krishna comes in the Sarva Dharman Paritaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, surrender unto me. But Lord Nityananda Prabhu comes and he is freely giving this. He is distributing this love of Godhead. And so in this material, everyone is burning samsara dava nalalida loka. Tranaya karunya ghana ghanatvam. Everyone is burning in this samsara, burning in this material existence. And so the spiritual master is coming and he's extinguishing this fire. And so he is a representation of Nityananda Prabhu. He's granting that that bliss of that mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And so as we were reading Nitai Pada Kamala in that song, Nartama Boraduki, Nitai More Koro Sukhi. Is that right? Yeah. That, Nartama, this Nartam Thakur is greatly in a lot of dukhi. He's in so much suffering. But you, Nityananda Prabhu, you can endow this bliss. So please keep me at the shelter of your lotus feet. You can give me Nityananda, you can give me this eternal bliss. So Nityananda Prabhu comes, along with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they rise on the horizon of Gaura Desh like the sun and the moon to dissipate the darkness of this age of Kali. They have come to give this thing that has never been given before. This pure love of Godhead, they have come to give it freely. So Nityananda Prabhu, it's mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Sri Nityananda, the wandering mendicant, is the foremost of all the associates of Lord Chaitanya. He became mad in the ecstasy of the service to Lord Chaitanya. So he is a madman. Nityananda Prabhu is a madman. He is mad in being absorbed in the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what is that service? Jaradakotari Kaho, Krishna Upadesh. That whoever you see, whoever you meet, you're instructing them about Krishna. And in that way, you shall become a guru. So if we look at how Nityananda Prabhu preached, what did he do? Well, he was instructed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nityananda Prabhu tried to follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu around. But more or less, Guru Maharaj mentioned that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu vanished him in one sense. They said, no, you go. You go to Bengal and you preach. And he said, Haridas and Nityananda, hear me, Nityananda. Hear me, Haridas. Simply disseminate my order everywhere. Go from house to house and beg the residents as follows. Speak about Krishna, worship Krishna, and teach others about Krishna. So Bolo Krishna, what is it? The worship. Bhaja Krishna. Kora Krishna Shiksha. Teach about Krishna. So he practically banished him because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is relishing his pastimes in Jagannath Puri. And so Nityananda Prabhu is preaching on behalf of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Bengal, and it's very difficult. It's not just because it's that land which is pious doesn't mean it was easy. You see in Chaitanya Charitamrita, they're often looked down upon. They're often scorned by the Brahmanas. Sometimes they're insulted. There's so much tough. It's so tough to preach. But Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he takes that service up very blissfully. He takes that service up very blissfully, seeing the position of the fallen conditioned souls. He desires to bring them close to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs them, saying, you go preach about Krishna. And Haridas Thakur follows that exactly. The Guru Maharaj mentioned Nityananda Prabhu, he says, what's the use? Krishna came and went, but now Lord Chaitanya has come and they should know about Lord Chaitanya. So he says, Gaura, worship Gaura, chant the names of Gaura. So he preaches the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he spreads the name of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu across Bengal. And so we see Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur, although if you know who they are, Haridas Thakur, he's Brahma. And then we see Nityananda Prabhu, he's Balaram, he's Anantasesh. He's the owner of the whole universe. But he's going out on the street and he's approaching anyone and everyone he meets. Lord Chaitanya says, anyone and everyone you meet. And he's begging them. What can they give him? What can they give him? He's the owner of the whole universe. Nityananda Prabhu and Lord Brahma. They're the owners of the universe. What can they give him? What could satisfy them? A beggar generally begs, that's his position. But they're not begging for some simple thing. Like we're seeing here, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is describing, that it is available for purchase. That this holy name is available for purchase, but not with your currency. So Nityananda Prabhu is descending Lord Balaram is descending as Nityananda Prabhu. And we see Haridas Thakur, Namacharya, they're going and begging. But they're begging for them to chant the holy name of the Lord. They're endowing faith in the masses of people. Because actually, here in this translation, it starts with saying that, I'm singing this great news, Lord Nityananda himself has opened the marketplace of holy name. The news of its great result is that he is selling the pure holy name in that marketplace for the price of one's faith. What is that faith? What is faith? What is faith? Shraddha, faith in what? What is the faith that gives one qualification to purchase the holy name? What is it exactly that you have to do? What is that faith? Faith in the process of devotional service. That in the name of Lord. No, God. What is the translation exactly?
Faith is that by practicing Krishna consciousness, all of one's desires will be fulfilled. That there is nothing lacking in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says, he uses this word sublime. Faith means to have unflinching
trust in something sublime. So I was looking upon this and I was looking at a few purports and a few things. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says a few things about this. He says that the pilgrim undertaking a journey on the path of devotion must have faith, Shraddha, and synonymously with firm conviction to the words and the instructions of scriptures. Faith is two kinds. Natural and inspired by external force. Faith gives birth to desire to surrender to a bona fide spiritual master and to learn from him the proper rules and etiquette of the devotional service. Sincerely following the spiritual master's instructions bestows upon a disciple the good fortune of wanting to associate the elevated saintly experience and absorbed in same devotional mood as disciples himself aspires for none other. Aspires for nothing else. A disciple himself aspires for, other words, a like-minded saintly instructor. And this point begins the stage of bhajana kriya. So it defines faith here as faith in scripture, faith in sadhu. And then if we look in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, Shraddhavan Janahe Bhakti Adhikar. that Uttama Madhya Kanishta Shraddha Anusar. A faithful devotee is a truly eligible candidate for the loving service of the Lord. According to one's faith, one is classified as a topmost devotee, an intimate devotee, or an inferior devotee. And then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada defines faith. The word Shraddhavan, faithful, means understanding Krishna to be the summum bonum, the eternal truth and absolute transcendence. If one has full faith in Krishna and confidence in him, one becomes eligible to discharge devotional service confidentially. According to faith, one's faith, one is the topmost intimate or inferior devotee. So, when you see the preaching of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, he actually is approaching the homes and he's saying, just do as I'm telling you, please, and I'm begging you. He said, please chant the names of Krishna. Accept Krishna as your father. Accept Krishna as your mother. Accept Krishna as your life. So he's begging in them to take the instructions. He's begging, please take this instruction. By taking this instruction, you'll be endowed with faith in devotional service. You'll be endowed with this shraddha, deeper attachment to service, and you'll get the association of devotees, which we understand to be the root of devotion. So he is endowing faith. It's interesting here that he's selling the pure holy name for the price of one's faith. But he is so merciful that he himself is endowing that faith. Now that's like almost inconceivable. That is basically telling someone, how can I put this? That, hey, come, I have this amazing car for you and I'm going to give you all the money to buy it. Can you please buy it from me? I'm going to sell it to you. It's unheard of. This is magnanimous. No ordinary personality, and we're not talking about some material asset here. It's not some charity that he's performing on the basis of the body. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is granting the highest perfection of life. He's granting the highest perfection of life. And so we know Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Namo Mahavadanaya, he's most merciful. But Guru Maharaj mentions this point also, that that mercy is manifested even more through Lord Nityananda. That it comes through even more, and we can see that. So one who is so merciful, or beyond the conception, beyond one's own conception, like we're seeing here, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is describing, that Lord Nityananda provided a market, seeing all the devotees become attracted, selling the holy name after bargaining with them. What is the bargain? How do you bargain with someone when you tell him, here's all the money, here's the product, and you can take it? He's saying, take more. Take more. And so he's reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita. The characteristics of Krishna are understood to be a storehouse of transcendental love. Although the storehouse of love certainly came with Krishna when he was present in it, it was sealed. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with his associates of the Panchatattva, they broke the seal and plundered the storehouse to taste transcendental love of Krishna. The more they tasted it, the more their thirst for it grew. Sri Panchatattva themselves danced again and again, and thus made it easier to drink nectarian love of Godhead. They danced, cried, laughed, and chanted like madmen, and this way they distributed love of Godhead. Although the members of the Panchatattva plundered the storehouse of love of Godhead and ate and distributed its contents, there was no scarcity. For this wonderful storehouse is so complete that as the love is distributed, the supply increases hundreds of times. When the 5 members of Panchatattva saw the entire world drowned in the love of Godhead and the seed of material enjoyment in the living entity is completely destroyed, the seed of material enjoyment in the living entity is completely destroyed, they became exceedingly happy. So Nityananda Prabhu, he's bargaining. What is that bargain? You take more, you take more. You simply accept and you take more. Actually, it's mentioned that Lord Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his book, I forget what the book is called, where he describes him as a sweeper street. He starts to describe who is the when I was looking over this song.
In this songs, wherever this song is, Gita, is it?
No, it's not from Gita. This is a song from the book. It's from that book that he.
It's on that thing.
But there's no other song that you mentioned.
No, there is.
In Gita song, there's nothing else.
Yeah,
But that's the only song in it.
That's the only song that
Yeah. So it's actually, he gives a whole description of who's the owner of the marketplace, what is the treasure in the marketplace. And so he says that, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he's the Mula Mahajan, principal trader. He's a trader, like he's also describing him. And so one can purchase these different levels by by currency. And that currency, starting it with faith. And so that faith is compared to a paisa. Faith is compared to paisa. And then after that, nishta is to buy nishta, you have to have an eighth of silver. And then to buy ruchi, you have to have fourth of silver. This is in terms of faith. I'm guessing, as it seems that first one has to have that faith, and then more, that's his currency, and the more one increases that, these are the different levels here. And so Ashakti is half silver coin, and then Bhava is a gold coin. But it's specifically mentioned that the reason this faith is so important is that when a customer purchases from the Namhata and chants the holy name, he's reimbursed in full his original payment, multiplied many times more. So Nityananda Prabhu, you go, he bargains, he said, okay, this much Shraddha you have, okay, I give you this, but here's more money. So now you can come and you can purchase Nishta, Ruchi, Bhava, Prema. This is Bhava, this Rati. So Nityananda Prabhu, he is giving us the qualification. All one has to have is a level of sincerity. That is required. It's not that Nityananda Prabhu, like Guru Maharaj was mentioning, that it is possible to be overtaken by this flow of or inundation of love of Godhead, but there's so much material desire within the heart. So one has to be careful. There is lust, greed, there is this anger, attachment. So Nityananda Prabhu, he is giving that, but we have to be ready for that. That is the position of Guru. That is the position of Guru, that he is giving one Krishna, but one has to be ready to receive that. So it's mentioned that how do we receive that, or that specifically in this case of material desire, one has to be careful that by performing devotional service, by assisting Nityananda Prabhu in his mission of spreading Krishna consciousness, one is able to attain that mercy. So we see like Srila Prabhupada, he's doing that thing, Bhajo Krishna, so many temples, Bolo Krishna, we're able to chant Hare Krishna, and instructing others about Krishna. So this preaching in the line of Sri Nityananda Prabhu is very much required, and that teaching is it says here that by Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that he gives the pure teachings of Krishna to everyone and does not care for one's birth, wealth, knowledge and strength. That Nityananda Prabhu, he's giving the pure teachings without any motive, without any personal motive at all. So one has to understand that he must do the same. That it is not that we put some personal desire within the preaching that we're doing in order to get name, fame, adoration, distinction. This will simply destroy our bhakti, or even that ability to get that mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so with that mercy, the dirt that's within the heart of the bhakta, of the person trying to perform devotional service, should be seen that it is, by over time, performing that service, it is going away. Not that one feels prema, but his heart is full of lust, greed, anger, and so on. And so this is the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, that they're granting us this faith. They're granting us this faith, but that faith, we have to develop that by surrender to the spiritual master. And so, because it doesn't come cheap, because if we don't do such things, if we don't get rid of these material desires within the heart and we let them sit and develop then we become offensive. And Lord Nityananda Prabhu doesn't tolerate that. And we see, actually it's said that, I believe I saw this I was just looking over some of the text in Chaitanya Bhagavad. It says that the only reason Lord Nityananda Prabhu was able to give mercy to Jaga and Madhai, the only thing they didn't do was they weren't offensive to Vaishnavas. That's the only reason they were able to get that mercy. If they had committed offenses to Vaishnavas, independent of what they were doing, there was no possible chance of them getting that mercy. And we see that with Ramachandra Khan. He tortured Haridas Thakur in so many ways. And then when Nityananda Prabhu came to that place, there's like the Goshala he has with the cows in that little shed, he instructed Ramachandra Khan instructed his followers to go tell Nityananda Prabhu to go find a better shed. Go find a bigger shed, you have so many followers, you go find a better shed in some another cow, some another Goshala. And Nityananda Prabhu was extremely offended, and he just left. He just left the whole village. And it's mentioned that later the king, the Qazi, he came, and he basically, this Ramachandra Khan, he wasn't paying his taxes, and took away his wealth, pretty much took apart everything, and then plundered the village for 3 days straight. So, when one is offensive towards the parampara, when one is offensive towards the devotees of the Lord, there is no question of getting that great mercy of Lord Nityananda. So, it's actually even stated that even the Gangas run away from a person who blasphemes Lord Nityananda. Being unable to realize the actual identity of Nityananda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, many conditioned souls who are bound by the wheel of karma from time immemorial blaspheme him. But on seeing such offenders who commit offenses through their blasphemy, the Gangas, who takes away one's sinful reactions, runs away. Ganges? Yeah, so sure. Ganges, Ganga. The Ganga who took away one's sinful reactions runs away from rather than destroying their sins. If the Supreme Lord becomes angry, then Nityananda, who is manifested as the spiritual master, can remove the Lord's anger. But if one commits an offense at the feet of the spiritual master, who is the manifestation of Nityananda, it is extremely difficult to nullify such an offense. So one has to be careful. Yes, Lord Nityananda Prabhu is all merciful, but one has to be careful in approaching Lord Nityananda Prabhu because if one is not, watching his desires, and he commits offenses to the devotees of the Lord, then his state of existence becomes hellish in so many ways, because he no longer can attain that mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we're reading in this song that Lord Nityananda, the proprietor of marketplace, seeing all the devotees became attracted, is selling the holy name after bargaining with them. Oh brother, if you want to buy the holy name, then go with me. We must go to the presence of the great soul Nityananda. So Nityananda Prabhu is granting that, but we must approach Nityananda Prabhu through the spiritual master. And we see that with Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that you come to this marketplace, but you can't approach Nityananda Prabhu on your own. You see that he is the sweeper of the marketplace. He keeps the marketplace very clean for devotees with pure motives to come and take the holy name, because it's not a cheap thing to come and be an associate of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. He's Balaram himself. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, yes, he's granting this bliss, Nityananda Prabhu, but there is still qualification. Not qualification on the platform of body, home, one's background and all these things, but there's a qualification of one's sincerity. We see the position of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and that position of humility, being the sweeper of that marketplace. So if you want to buy this holy name, then go with me. We must go to the presence of the great soul Nityananda. you will, by the name of Krishna, I will take my commission and all our desires will be fulfilled. That the spiritual master, he simply takes him to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He engages him in that service of Krishna. And so that is the position of Nityananda Prabhu. And that's the position of his representatives. They're non-different. That the spiritual master is non-different. He is a representative of Adi Guru. So one has to serve that spiritual master, approach that spiritual master, and when he is satisfied that there's no material desires within our heart, that the desires or he himself will broom out those material desires, just like we see in the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when they clean this Gundicha temple. That they if you read this pastime, they clean this thing inside out, and then they finish cleaning and they clean it again, and then they clean it again, and they get every single speck of dust out. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showing that we should be ready to clean our heart because to receive that pure holy name, to receive that pure holy name. And so the more one is able to clean his heart out, he is able to see the position of the soul in relationship with Krishna better. And so taking that purity, he approaches the spiritual master, or the spiritual master helps him come to that position. And then he presents Lord Nityananda, he presents this eternal bliss is available to the devotee. And Nityananda Prabhu, he engages us in that service. And Guru Maharaj in this lecture, he was mentioning that one serves Nityananda Prabhu by following by following him in his footsteps, doing the same thing that he did in order to satisfy Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, giving the pure teachings of Krishna to everyone. Now give up this illusory snare of Maya, either remain in the household life in the forest, or as a sannyasi, for no more trouble remains. So it's clear that it's not particularly dependent on one's material situation. But that surrender that one gives to the spiritual master, that one gives to Nityananda Prabhu, by which he gets endowed with unlimited mercy, it's unfathomable, like we're reading here, that there is no more fear of the age of Kali. The merciful Nityananda gives the whole name even to the Chandalas. Bhaktivinoda calls out, except for the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, there is no other shelter. So, when one takes this shelter, then one becomes blissful. There's no fear. There's always fear in the material. There's always fear at every step. What am I going to do next? Where is my happiness? What am I going to do? This body is growing old. My family is dying. My wealth is dwindling. So the money that I earned, what will happen to all these things? There's always fear at every step. That is the position of the material world. But when one takes shelter of Nityananda Prabhu, there is no fear. There is eternal bliss at every step. Every step becomes a dance and every word becomes a song. Because one is attained that mercy of the spiritual master. That is the pure understanding of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta, is that he purely takes shelter of the spiritual master and serves him in the way that the spiritual master engages him. Just like Nityananda Prabhu, he wanted to be with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed him to go to Bengal, and that he said, if you're preaching this, that I'll be there with you. I will be there with you as you preach. And so Nityananda Prabhu, not caring, like we're reading, not caring for who is qualified, who is unqualified, he's granting that. He's granting that faith. And it's mentioned that a lot of them didn't take it in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Those who are impious, they weren't able, they just said, you're a madman. I don't want to become mad like you. Why are you preaching this? What are you doing? Why are you, and then there's like the Brahmanas who said, why are you giving this to everyone? This is a sacred mantra. So not everyone can accept it because it requires high level of intelligence to recognize what is gold. He is giving, Nityananda Prabhu is giving gold. He's giving Literally, he is bargaining with us. Why don't you take gold? Here, you come to me with your small faith that you have. What is the faith? That I just, okay, chant Hare Krishna, right? All right, Hare Krishna. That's all he wants. He's rolling. And those who didn't do it, he would roll on the ground. He would cry. He would do anything and everything to make them chant Hare Krishna, because he knew by accepting that instruction that they will get that shraddha, they will get that faith, they will make advancement in devotional service. That was all was required. That shraddha. Like we were saying, Shraddhavan jana he bhakti adhikar, that he becomes qualified just by that mere faith in the holy name. He becomes qualified. Just that mere faith, just by chanting on the instruction of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. So this marketplace is there. And Nityananda Prabhu is selling the holy name it's not cheap. It's not cheap. That faith is not cheap. It requires a great level of endeavor to get, because we want to have faith. It's one thing to speak about it, but another thing to actually have it. Just like, we should accept Krishna as the father, as the mother, as the protector. But then when something goes wrong, generally we don't think of Krishna. We don't pray to Krishna. We see ourselves as the proprietor of everything, as I'm going to fix this problem. Generally, that's our tendency. It's just like, at the time of death, when something crazy happens, someone may get in a car crash. So many devotees have mentioned, as I definitely didn't think about Krishna at that point. Faith means to always depend on Krishna. So even at that time of death, amongst the worst of situations, then he always remembers Krishna and relies on Krishna to protect him. But it's difficult to get that. But if we serve the spiritual master, he will grant us that faith. Just like we see in this song that Ohe Vaishnava Thakura, that Krishna se tomara Krishna dite paro, tomara shakati achi, ami to kangala Krishna Krishna boli, dai tava pachi pachi. That I'm running after you, my Lord. I'm running after you. Because you have Krishna. And by that, because you have him, you're able to give that to me. So I'm simply running after you, crying Krishna, Krishna. I'm simply your servant. So that should be the mood of the follower of the in the line of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. We're simply the servants. And when we serve in that way with that humility and faith, we expect that. We expect that divine grace to descend and bestow upon that mercy. And so we see that with our own spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada and all the acharyas, that they have embodied this mood of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Especially we see our own Srila Prabhupada, this going and spreading the Krishna consciousness movement with a pure motive, with no desire for name, fame, adoration, none of these things. And so when that's done, you see the mercy of Nityananda, you see the mercy of the Panchatattva outflow into the Western world, which is full of chandalas, malechas and chandalas, the lowest of the lows. But they can take up the Krishna bhakti by their mere faith. What qualification do they have? And Srila Prabhupada says, I have created that faith. I created your good fortune. So, non-different from Nityananda Prabhu. You come, you take this holy name, and that will give you more. Then I will give you more. I'll give you the currency to buy, and I have the product. So that is the mood of our line of Gaudiya Vaishnava, and we follow in that mood of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. And naturally, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be with us in that mood. Just like he instructed, you go and preach, I'll be with you. So we're doing that duty of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. It's mentioned that, I have it up here, that the storehouse, the what is that particular word they use? But Srimad Bhagavatam is like what's the word that's used here? Let me see. In that storehouse, I'm not able to catch the right word. Srimad Bhagavatam is like the treasure. And so that treasure is distributed. Srimad Bhagavatam holds the love of Godhead. And so Srila Prabhupada preached that, distribute Bhagavatam. Every gentleman, every gentlewoman should have this set of Srimad Bhagavatam in his house. And Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because it's the treasure. It's the treasure. So we're perfectly situated in the Namhatta. We're perfectly situated in the marketplace of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. We're his... There's actually described like all the principal traders and how there's like different devotees who do the dealings and they're like the sellers and all these things. So we are a part of that. We're the sellers. We're the distributors. There's actually mentioned the distributors of this mercy. So we're taking upon that position. We're taking upon that on behalf of Nityananda Prabhu. We're taking that position. And going and preaching, we're the distributors. And we're inviting people, take this face, come to this marketplace, come, it is freely available. It is just on mere faith. You'll get the perfection of life, you'll get Nityananda. So we're inviting everyone. And on that pretext also, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, that you come and all three of us will benefit. You come, you'll benefit, I will take my commission. And Nityananda Prabhu will be satisfied. So we're doing the same thing. You come, you'll be extremely satisfied. And Nityananda Prabhu, being pleased with us, will also grant us his mercy. And everyone becomes blissful by nature. Like he was saying that the Panchatattva became so extremely blissful that at this point, here we go. It says that when the 5 members of the Panchatattva saw the entire world drowned in love of Godhead and the seed of material enjoyment and the living entities completely destroyed, they became exceedingly happy. So all the devotees of the Lord will become exceedingly happy by seeing the spreading of Lord Chaitanya's movement, seeing everyone else happy, seeing the whole world happy. But often also Srila Prabhupada describes in those purports, where he's describing all this, some of this, he says that some are just envious. And they'll never be able to attain that mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Nityananda Prabhu, because they're just, their whole thing is me, myself and I, how I want to be the Acharya. That we've distributed this love of Godhead, but so many are criticizing us. We're distributing us, and we see that in our own cases too. I mean, Srila Prabhupada dealt with that so much with his God brothers. They'd criticized him before he even went there. How can you go there? And then when he said, no, this is not real. How can you do this? And then so many other criticisms from the Brahmanas came, that how is it that you're giving this to the Malechas? How can you give Brahman initiation to Malechas? But he said, we don't give a fig. He said, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Panchatattva, they ordained it. They said they did it. They said we should do it. So it makes no difference to whatsoever. That we shall simply be exceedingly happy and let them sit in their sorrow. Let them be miserable. But we have taken the instruction of Nityananda Prabhu and we are preaching that, and we are exceedingly happy, and the whole world is becoming happy. So who cares for your enviousness? Who cares for your dirty heart? You'll simply rot in your own misery. So one has to come to that level of humility. Otherwise one will miss the whole thing. One will miss the whole thing. The Krishna consciousness movement will take off. The mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will flow through this Malecha land. It will become the land of Gauda. It will become the land of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But we'll miss it if we're too dull. We'll completely miss it. It's not dependent on me, you, or anyone. It's going to happen. It's because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said it will happen. This will be spread all over every village, every town and village. But it says the choice we have is, do we want to be a part of it or not? Do we want to be the instrument or not? In the hands of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Because he is the preacher. In Lord Chaitanya, he's relishing those pastimes, those internal pastimes, but he's not neglecting the external reasons. And Nityananda Prabhu is the principal distributor or principal fulfiller of those external reasons. So we can be absorbed in the movement of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, giving mercy to anyone and everyone we see who is willing to take it or not willing to take it. We can try to give it to them. It's stated in there like that. Nityananda Prabhu, he tried. Some were willing to take, and some were not willing to take. But independent of that, he saw himself as doing the duty towards his Lord. That my Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has instructed me like this. So I'm simply coming and doing my duty. So we're doing the same thing. We're inviting everyone to the storehouse of love of Godhead. Come and experience this. And so we're going out every day and we're distributing the holy name. We're distributing this Srimad Bhagavatam. They don't even have to come to the marketplace. The marketplace is going to them. We're going out to them and say, look, these vans is the marketplace. Open the van. Look at all these books. Come take. It's from me. It's not going to cost you anything, basically. Your whole existence will be satisfied. So we're presenting this on the order of Srila Prabhupada. And so independent of whether they take it or not, we're acting on the behalf of Srila Prabhupada. And some will take it. Some will take it, and those who take it may not be so many. Like we are reading that, where was this? We're reading that the followers of Sri Chaitanya, the pure followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
the professed followers of great Acharya are few in number.
They are very. Those who, just like Guru Maharaj often give the example that the Navy or the Special Forces is very small in number. It's not very many.
The actual teachings of the Prophet are followed by no more than a very small minority of his professed followers.
Yeah. So like here saying that we're preaching, over here is saying that we're giving the pure teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it will be very small. We're preaching, your material desires. You have to get rid of these material desires. Develop own pure love for Krishna. Not everybody wants that. People, that's what they need, but that's not they feel as though that's not what they want. So there will be very few who are trying to follow that pure line, but that very few can make a very big impact. It only takes, like Srila Prabhupada, one pure devotee to change the whole world. It's a few special forces, very few, to defeat a whole army, a whole country. So it takes a few. So as we preach His pure name, will attract those who they will be attracted to the purity. And they will be able to come and get the mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and then they will become the follower of Lord Nityananda Prabhu and distribute that mercy and benefit so many other souls. So we can continue our book distribution vigorously, our preaching to the masses, the classes or the low classes, whatever they may be, independent of their material situation. We preach to them. We give them these books of Krishna consciousness, and by reading it, they'll get faith. Just by reading it, so many people when I'm calling them, they're like, "This is like I've been reading this, and it's like very clear philosophy. It's no hocus pocus. There's no mumbo jumbo. It's very clear. I'm able to understand what is going on." And just by that's faith. Hey, this is like some knowledge here. That's where it starts. And so Srila Prabhupada is granted us and is granting more people that faith. And so merely by that faith, they'll be able to purchase this holy name and then distribute the treasure house of Srimad Bhagavatam. And so we can continue that, and we can continue to expand that, make more devotees, make more book distributors, expand book distribution, flood, let the love of let's plunder the storehouse of love of Godhead, which is being held back in so many ways. We can try to imbibe that mood deeply, like the Sri Chaitanya, like the Pancha Tattva, and distribute that love of Godhead in line with Srila Prabhupada and our spiritual master's teachings, which is non-different. So we can continue to do that. Our life will be perfect, and everyone else's life around us will be perfect. So it is Nityananda. Everything becomes very blissful in Krishna consciousness when we're in this situation. We attain that realm of Nityananda, which is eternal and blissful. So by doing it, just like we're experiencing so much, that's why we're able to do this every day, day in, day out. So we can let others experience this, and that is our pure purpose. So I have my class there. If there's any criticisms or comments or questions, please feel free to ask.
So, could I was wondering, do you have any reference as to what Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commissions?
I couldn't find it because I couldn't find a book. That I just saw some
I have
references.
some philosophical speculation. You know?
I mean, I also have this. I mean, it's very simple that he gets more mercy, or he gets a share of that mercy. When he gets a potency, he gets a mercy and he gets a potency.
Yeah, I was thinking in terms of the commission because the payment in terms of it being faith.
He gets more.
That Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the Acharya and is the spiritual master, the process that the spiritual master first, before if you want the sales, is the first you have to ask, first you have to have faith in the broker, otherwise you're not going to get the product.
Right.
You know, you have to have faith in the middleman. Before you have faith, before you can purchase the product from the manufacturer, like we want to buy this brown truck. You have to have faith in the dealership. You can't get it from the manufacturer without having faith in the dealership. So then the dealership takes its commission. In this case, since the commission is faith, one has to first place faith in the spiritual master and the acharyas. They get their commission. And then by that, Lord Nityananda Prabhu distributes the holy name for the price of one's faith. This is my speculation.
It seems like his commission also that he gets the potency to convince them to sell the product. He gets his potency, and when he gets that potency, he also gets faith also. And the people that are buying from him also get the faith, and it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the acharyas are getting faith because
No,
the
more and more,
acharyas are already.
unlimited faith. Your
Yeah.
faith always increases.
Okay, I don't know if there's any reference you can say of acharyas getting faith. Like we never use
Increasing their already study faith, increasing their love for Krishna. They already have.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah,
That's different. That is different. I don't think, I've never seen that being used, that the acharyas, their faith is becoming increased. We just understand faith, that once it achieves nishtha, firm faith is there, that's it. There is increase of love of Godhead, there is increase of bliss, there is increase of ecstasy. But once there is firm faith, there is unshakable faith, and that's it. So, therefore, I don't think the acharya they get their mercy for sure, but in this case, my speculation is that the commission is, because everything is coming, the faith is coming from the jiva. And so the acharya gets to keep that faith is required. That's Krishna's process. And without placing faith in Guru and Krishna, without placing faith in Guru or Acharya, one can never approach Krishna. It's impossible. So, that's, of course, the Acharyas, they personally feel grateful and they get mercy from Krishna for executing the order and things like that. That's also there. But I wouldn't say increased faith, though. I've never seen that kind of usage. I've only seen unshakable faith.
What is the commission? You were saying that it was along the lines that he gets mercy. Like your speculation was that he receives a part of the mercy.
No.
What was your exact?
Huh?
What was your speculation
He
again?
receives a part of the faith of the jiva.
Faith of the jiva.
So the jiva has faith in the acharya. That's
Jiva
the
has
commission.
faith in the acharya.
That's the commission.
Without placing faith in the acharya, without placing faith in the broker, how will you get the product?
Yeah.
So you have to first place faith in the acharya. You have to first take shelter of guru, of a bona fide spiritual master, and you have to take shelter of all the predecessor acharyas.
Sure.
For one to demonstrate enough faith to purchase the holy name from Lord Nityananda. That is the price.
Yeah.
But he says in this song that you come, you buy the product, and after you buy the product, I'll get my commission.
That's what I'm confused about.
So
that's
how
what
does that work?
I don't know
I think
why.
it's a simultaneous process. I think it's a simultaneous process. It all happens in one transaction.
I mean, but he has to take him. He has to take him to the place where to buy the stuff.
Yeah.
He has
So-
so you're saying, but even like the spiritual master gives faith to the disciple.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, of course, everything comes from Guru and Krishna.
Yeah.
That was already stated what you read. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
That Nityananda Prabhu is selling this, but then he's giving the currency also.
But it doesn't like what's his commission still? I'm like
Yeah.
confused because it's like,
It doesn't
but
seem like
he has to
that's
get he gets commission from Nityananda Prabhu, just like that guy,
Yeah.
the person who approaches Bhakti.
No, but yes, he gets the commission from Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu allows the commission, but what is the exchange? Is faith, is it not?
But that's
It's
what.
also the product too.
Yeah.
No, but the
He
product
gets
is not.
it seems that he gets the commission of the product that's purchased, and that's
If you
why.
take it like that,
That's why I was thinking.
but
that
then it's still not
faith is
increased.
something.
No, increased faith is the weirdest
Okay.
term to say. I
Okay.
mean, how do you say that?
Well, Nityananda Prabhu, he receives. Well, he
I
takes
mean,
that.
if you can demonstrate some example of
Okay.
increased faith,
It seems that Nityananda Prabhu distributes, I guess, according to one's, he distributes to Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
I mean, sure. I mean, if you take it like that he gets the holy name also, a share of the holy name. He gets a share of the bliss. He gets a share of the nectar. You know,
I mean,
that definitely could be taken.
You know
as
what
an
it seems like?
explanation.
I was reading those. You know, like if one purchases this the holy name by chanting more, he gets more. You know, Nityananda Prabhu gives him multiple times back. So
more love of God.
with that, he's able to buy like higher levels of devotional service.
Correct.
So it seems that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the more commission he gets, the higher his level of devotional service becomes. Is that more?
That seems like more.
Because you see, it says here that by
We have to be careful when we're describing this to not. I see what you're saying. What
Yeah.
you're saying, a little bit.
I'm not saying that he's not on the platform of prema, but
No, I
yeah.
understand.
That's
I understand.
increasing.
What we just say is, you know, there's more ecstasy that he's experiencing, more bliss,
Right.
more, you know, there's no limit to love of God, you know. My understanding is faith is always in terms of strength, not in quantity.
But that's
With that comes like more determination to serve,
there's
more
ru-
bhava.
there's
It all
ruchi-
comes
ruchi
from
is
that,
there,
I
yeah.
think that you know surrender increases. I mean,
But with the
I
Acharya,
don't think it's like it's offensive or that.
So it's like
to
you-
say this.
so
Maybe we can.
he can get bhava or rati, right? He
I
can,
don't see.
no, I mean, you find some reference.
I mean, I could. I have this thing saved.
it says so like gold coin is like the compared to one silver and can be used to purchase. So like bhava and rati is there that one can purchase. So if Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's got his commission and he's getting more bhava. Bhava is, but that's fine, right? Bhava is generally the feeling of devotional service. You can get more,
That's sure.
right? So is he not?
Feelings are unlimited.
So is he not purchasing that then with
Yeah,
his
he could
commission?
be, that is a good explanation. That's a complete possibility.
With his commission, he's able to
I
get.
just don't feel that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is getting more faith.
No, okay.
And like I don't know about I don't know about saying that. Then it would make it seem like he has less faith.
No, there's a ever expanding ocean of that determination.
If you can look into Madhura Kadambini, they will probably describe it because it describes like different levels of faith, and then it says like actually all of these things up to like one of them. It says that they're all they don't happen step by step. It's not that you get
Oh yeah.
right.
That's why I was saying that the commission and all this is happening in one transaction. You're saying, oh, he took him there, and then this is happening.
Yeah.
But it's not exactly like that. It's all one thing.
Sure,
Therefore,
sure.
I said that you place faith in the Acharya. That's his commission. You know. But sure.
That makes the most sense to me, like what you're saying about the faith, like in the Acharya, because like, if you're thinking about like commission, like let's just think about like the truck, like buying the truck. It's like you have the currency, which is like money, and then you have the product, which is the truck, and it's not like what you're saying is like the Acharya gets a piece of like the product, but that never happens.
That doesn't make sense. That's what
not
I was
commission.
trying to say. That if you were to take the example,
Yeah.
if you said the Acharya was to get a part of the truck,
Yeah.
that it doesn't make the broker doesn't get part of the truck.
But
You know,
it's
but he gets
also-
part of the,
it's
he gets part of the commission.
It's like the dealer, he accepts the payment and then he pays the manufacturer and he keeps aside some of his own share. It's not that he gives
Or in
his,
some cases,
but
what
the
happens is the dealer, the money all goes to the goes to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer releases a commission from what was received to the broker. This is also a process,
Yeah.
which is also it's the same thing. You know.
okay. Yeah, I mean it's like
Anyways, that's
something
why
to
my
look
first
into.
question was: is there any commentary or is there any
Yeah.
explanation about that commission?
I think
before we
there's
start
no question
all
that-
speculating.
there's no question that the currency is faith and that like there's something, the commission has something to do with like the faith and not so much the product. Like he's not getting like a piece of the product from the transaction.
I mean, I'm still willing to be open because these are transcendental matters. It could
Yeah.
work that way. But since there's no explanation, if we were to do a philosophical speculation, this is what seems to be most logical to me.
maybe I can see if
And
I
then,
can.
and then the commission being faith, it's not that the Acharya's faith is increased, but it's that the living entity has to place faith in Acharya. And that the Guru is demanding that surrender of the disciple. And that surrender of the disciple is what is the price to advance in Krishna consciousness, and that is the Guru's service to the predecessor acharyas, is to make people surrender to the process of devotional service, and in this way.
Yeah, because how could he take faith? Like, I mean, like he's receiving faith from that person. Now, how, it's like, first off, the faith is coming from the jiva, and how could the faith be coming from Lord Nityananda?
Well, it does come ultimately that the point is that the faith is coming. That he explained in his whole class that Nityananda Prabhu Guru, Prabhupada says, I created a good person. Prabhupada created the faith in us. That's there.
So it makes more sense.
But ultimately, it's the living entity who, through that medium of faith, is offering
That makes total
himself.
sense, yeah.
And so,
So,
Yeah.
The commission being a relationship with the disciple, the Guru's commission is this relationship with his disciple.
I don't know where to bring the relationship in.
Okay.
It's not even part of the whole
So-
discussion.
there's this verse from Madhya Leela. Shastra yukte shunipun yudak shadayang uttamadikari say taraya samsar. One who is expert in logic, argument and the revealed scriptures and who has firm faith in Krishna is classified as the topmost devotee. He can deliver the whole world. But Prabhupada in this translation says, person who is expert, revealed scriptures and fully surrenders to the cause of the Lord is actually able to deliver others from the clutches of material existence. So here Shraddha can also mean increased surrender. Shraddha it doesn't necessarily just have to mean faith. Increased Shraddha,
How you do it?
you see over here. He, Prabhupada translates, fully surrenders to the cause of the Lord. That fully surrender, can we say that the surrender, the surrender is increasing, can we say things like that or that?
Unless you can provide some kind of reference.
What kind of reference would that be?
I mean, find a statement that's similar to what you
like
said.
Rasikananda Prabhu's faith in the Lord increase, like that? Is something like that? Is that what you're looking at? What?
Yeah, and remember, it should not be something like, like Srila Prabhupada can say, my faith in my spiritual master became fixed after hearing his instructions. But it is only apparent.
That someone else
We-
should be describing, one acharya should be describing another acharya and saying this. Like that's what you're saying?
No, but we understand that Srila Prabhupada, he always had unflinching faith in his spiritual
No one is
master.
saying Bhaktivinoda Thakur doesn't have unflinching faith. Can there be an increment of that unflinching faith? That's what I'm asking.
As I said, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur in this particular pastime is already acting as a person who is connected with Lord Nityananda Prabhu, not playing the role, not playing the pastime of the acharyas, acting as conditioned souls and then coming out of that clutch of material existence. In this case, he is clearly the acharya in this whole transaction. Otherwise, how would you explain the broker suddenly being there? It doesn't make any sense. So therefore, him being the acharya, or just like we say the acharya, then we do not say For instance, if we were to say that the Guru's faith in the process of Krishna consciousness increased, seeing his disciples, or after he gave a particular instruction and his disciples followed it and they became successful, then his faith in the process of Krishna consciousness increased. If you were to say that, I am afraid, I cannot say for sure, but I am afraid that that sounds actually offensive. Because how we understand is the Guru always had faith. It was only the disciples who were lacking, and as soon as they followed, it was followed. And the Guru said, see, yes. But the Guru can say, I understood Krishna, this was Krishna's pastime, but it was never a question of his faith. It was just, it's just a question of how the Leela happens. At least with the spiritual master, he always says enacting his pastime.
I think this thing is written, this Bhaktivinoda Thakur, what he wrote was articles. So he may have, I don't know if he actually elaborated on that point also.
It will be very interesting to understand. I mean, I personally want to see an explanation of what Bhaktivinoda Thakur meant by commission.
I mean, that's how Prabhupada works before, like you have like direct faith in the holy name, you have faith in the Guru that gives you the holy name.
Yeah.
And then-
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Anything else?
I don't know if you have.
No, we have.
No, it's not.
To, do we, when we don't do breakfast, do we go a little bit over generally?
I mean, Varaha Dwadasi also, the day before Varaha Dwadasi also, we didn't have breakfast.
We went over that day, right? We did over time.
15 minutes.
Yeah. You have something?
Not 3 more minutes.
Yeah, you want to?
No, anyway. So, one thing, you're talking about, the strength of the faith of the disciples. Prabhupada, talking to his 6 disciples who went to London, the pioneers, he said, Prabhupada commented his 6 London pioneers on succeeding, but his sannyasi godbrothers had failed. He told them that because they had chanted Hare Krishna with faith, they had succeeded. They were not great scholars or renunciates, yet they had faith in the holy name and the order of the spiritual master. Said that he was also not, and Prabhupada said that he was also not a great scholar, but he had staunch faith, the real requirement for spiritual success. A devotee could go many places and accomplish many things, but Prabhupada said, but unless he was free from material motives, he was not able to implant the seed of bhakti into the hearts of others. Prabhupada said Shivananda Prabhu,
Yeah.
Shivananda Prabhu, who had gone alone to Hamburg and tried his best with faith in his spiritual master. Now Krishna was blessing Shivananda with a little success. And even one lone preacher could accomplish many things for Krishna, provided that preacher, even one lone preacher could accomplish many things for Krishna, provided the preacher was free from sense gratification and a desire for profit, adoration, distinction. So Prabhupada is speaking about this, why his sannyasi godbrothers didn't succeed and why his 6 London disciples succeeded. And another thing also is that Lord Nityananda helped fulfill Lord Chaitanya's external desires, internal desires too.
Yeah.
Because when preaching is not something external, the bhajan is internal.
Yeah.
There is not some external thing. This is the internal. Lord Chaitanya, being the aspect of Srimati Radharani, wants to increase the service to Krishna in the groves of Vrindavan, and that's what preaching is. So Lord Nityananda didn't just do the external, because they get into the Lord Nityananda is the external thing. Prabhupada, he's like on a lower platform, therefore he installed like Gora Nitai, but actually those on the higher platform installed Gora Gadai, and like all this stuff, it like this
Gets weird.
crazy people speak about it. And one more thing, I remember, this thing about intoxication. I remember, writing to Guru Maharaj, the time that we distributed 3,546 books in a day. I was cut the entire section, but I'll just read one thing. I told him maybe I'm losing my mind, but this intoxicating beverage of book distribution is driving me crazy. And I only want to get more and more. I only want more and more everyone to also get drunk along with me. And Guru Maharaj writes, very good news that you are drunk and addicted. That you want to see others also drunk and addicted. And he quotes a Parivadatu Shano Yata Tatava, that verse.
Mm.
And then he says, wishing you ever more intoxication. So like our whole thing is to be intoxicated in this Harirasa Madhira of the madness that Lord Nityananda came to give. That's the whole thing that we should be aiming towards.
As soon as we start thinking about ourselves, then it becomes misery.
Yes.
Nirananda.
Nityananda.
We have to be Nityananda.
Or Nityananda is material.
Which will happen. Okay.
One more other point about increased faith is, this is the general point, that in general, if we see a particular result and then our faith increases after that, then actually that is a sign of the faith not being fixed. Whereas, for instance, whether Srila Prabhupada was successful in preaching in the West, or if he was unsuccessful, he had full faith in not just the order of his spiritual master, he also had full faith that that Krishna consciousness is powerful, he is incapable, but that the process is always powerful. The process is all perfect. That, for instance, Srila Prabhupada, he never lost faith in spite of so many failures in India. So that's why this word of increased faith is a little iffy. The very understanding of faith is how firm it is, how weak it is. When it's firm, it's firm. If you drill something into the ground and you're trying to make it firm, so you just drill it. You don't say it's increased. You say it has become firm.
I don't know how, exactly where, but there's an important point that is mentioned somewhere that it's not exactly like also Anga of Bhakti in this Shraddha. It's mentioned like that somewhere. It is not like anyways, I can bring it up later maybe.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes.
It's curious, you said Jagan and Madha didn't commit any offenses.
I have a question about that.
It's mentioned in the Chaitanya Bhagavad, they didn't commit any offenses to devotees. So,
I had a question, I don't know. So you ask, maybe you're asking the same question. Yeah. So what I was thinking is, giving the example of Ramachandra Khan, but he also committed offense to Nityananda.
Guru Maharaj mentioned this point that he had committed offenses to Haridas Thakur before this already.
Oh, he already committed offenses.
So Nityananda Prabhu he didn't take offense for himself.
That point was mentioned.
Yeah. And he insulted Nityananda Prabhu's associates too.
So he said, all your guys just go away.
With Nityananda Prabhu, he's not Vaishnava actually. He is Supreme Personality of God.
Right.
So living entities always commit offenses. Actually, we exist in the material world because we are envious of Krishna, which is an offense in itself. But there's hope of getting saved from that, but not from a Vaishnava.
Okay. Alright. Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.